Hello everybody and welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Sam, this is the Jank Drawer, and today we as always are tuning in for our midweek metagame mashup. This week at MTG Arena we are going to be playing more Brawl, but this time with a little bit of a twist. Before we get into that though, I want to say thank you so much for all of you that continue watching these videos. Your support means the world to me. We continue growing in subscribers, we continue growing in view counts, and we continue just trying to bring you the best possible content that I can here at the Jank Drawer to make sure that you can see your best possible self in your Magic the Gathering journey. I'm working potentially on bringing you some more content during the week in the near future, working out with just some of the logistics and things like that. But until then, I really appreciate all of the work that you guys have been doing to help me out here. Every like, comment, and subscribe does actually make a big difference, and it makes my day. And it'll help us continue to grow and be able to continue to bring you more wonderful content like the content that we have here for you today. With that being said, as always, there is a midweek metagame that is going to be happening on MTG Arena Midweek Magic. This week is Rites of Flourishing Brawl. And I hear you asking yourself, what does that mean? What is the difference between this and regular Brawl? And I'd love to tell you. As opposed to regular Brawl, which is 100 card singleton on Arena, and it is a 1v1 matchup, Rites of Flourishing means that we have two permanent static effects into the game. First, at the beginning of every turn, you will be able to draw an additional card. And second, you will be able to cast an additional land every single turn. So, essentially, we get to play with an Explorer in play, and we get to play with a Howling Mine in play from turn 1. So, we want to try and find a way to use our budget resources to be able to get us to the best possible version of a deck that can maximize from making extra land drops and can draw extra cards every single turn. And I think that I have found a way using minimal crafting. Once again, most of the rares and mythics are ones that are given to you from the starter decks in this, including our commander. This is one that you should be able to use just right out of the box. And then, from the most part, I've crafted a lot of cards, but they should be mainly commons and uncommons that you should be able to have ample room to craft around. And whatever rares I have thrown in there are rares that I have been able to be lucky enough to draw out of packs that I have opened on the new account. You should be able to substitute those with your own rares or mythics or whatever you have drawn on your account as well to just kind of get there. But hopefully this gives you a solid enough base to work off of. With that, let's take a quick look at our deck. And with that, we're looking at the deck here. And it should come as no surprise for those of you that have been following the channel for a while, or those of you that have been watching the streams since we started the account. We have rejoined the land of blue-green landfall. Specifically, we are going to be playing a Tatyova Benthic Druid deck. And I hear you saying, Tatyova, that's a pretty common commander, and it is a very popular commander in both paper and on MTG Arena. But conveniently enough, it is one of the legendaries that they give you for free in the opening decks, in the starter decks that came in Foundations. And because of that, it is what we're going to be doing here to try and keep our budget as low as possible as far as commons and uncommons that you're going to need to craft to be able to play this deck. Also, because we are going to be able to get extra land drops every turn, and we're going to be drawing extra cards, Tatyova just synergizes really well with what we are trying to do with the deck to make it so that we have the best possible chance of success with the lowest possible amount of card quality that we can put together here. And so, we're starting out with Tatyova. All of the other bangers from that deck are making appearances here. We've got Bushwhack. Well, we had Bushwhack until Bushwhack just went away. Works better if I spell it. We have Bushwhack. We have Llanowar Elves. Adventuring Gear. At our 2-drop slot, we don't have anything. We've got Primeval Bounty and Rampaging Balos, the rare and mythic from that deck. We've got Circuitous Root. We've got we've got Circuitous Root. We've got Elfsworn Giant. All of the things that we can get from that, including loot, to give us even more. This gets us to 3 land drops, and Mossworn Hydra. All of the key pieces from that landfall deck make an appearance here, and then we just try to build a framework around them that gives them the best possible chance of success, using primarily commons and uncommons, and then supplement in with it whatever rares or mythics you've been able to open in your collection to be able to get there, and to be able to give you the best possible chance at success. Now, I have some rules that I like to follow when it comes to building decks, specifically commander-style decks, that are loosely based off of the rules that were given from the command zone. I have created a tool that I like to use to help figure those out. I'll leave a link to that in the comments section. It is just a Google sheet that you can be able to use to input and build out your deck lists that pulls things from Scryfall and then breaks down the categories that were outlined in that command zone video of targeted removal, mass disruption, card advantage, things like that. And I hope that we have built a deck that is able to work within those constraints. Card advantage is very nice for us in that Tatyova gives us innate card advantage whenever we play lands. That is good. But we're going to highlight some of the key things that I think you need to craft that are kind of must crafts to be able to play this deck to help meet some of those things. Most importantly, one of the hardest things that you're going to find to do in green-blue specifically is find ways to do mass disruption, specifically on Arena, where we don't have a lot of the best mass disruption cards from the format in this anymore. Your Bane of Progresses, your things like that. And especially if you're trying to keep yourself on a budget where, like, we aren't going to be able to maybe necessarily craft a spare rare into a Cyclonic Rift and things like that, because we need those for our decks that we're going to try to use to climb the ladders and to do things like that and to play some of the more enfranchised formats. But some things that you definitely, I think, need to craft for sure on this are things like Slin Voda. Slin Voda is a very good mass disruption spell. This 8 mana 8/8, when it enters the battlefield, if you've paid 10 mana for it, which in our blue-green deck where we're already playing multiple lands a turn is not going to be the hardest thing to do. When it enters the battlefield, you return all creatures to their owner's hand, except for merfolk, krakens, leviathans, octopuses, and serpents. Now, this is going to hit a lot of our creatures as well, which is fine, but most importantly, it's a way to just kind of offset everything that our opponents is doing. Other cards that give us similar effects to this that we are going to be playing are things like Aetherize. It's an uncommon slot for an instant that returns all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. This is kind of like a mini Cyclonic Rift. We only hit our opponent. We get all of their big threats that are trying to attack us. We reset them back to 0. And then finally, we have Filter Out. This is another uncommon for 3 mana. Return all non-creature and non-land permanents to their owner's hand. Once again, this doesn't hit any of our creatures, but it is a mass disruption if it turns off a lot of the artifacts or enchantments that our opponents might be working on. And it just bounces them all back up. And for us, we're not playing a ton of artifacts and enchantments, so this is pretty one-sided. So those are our mass disruption spells, our important things there. As for single targeted disruption, it's just kind of do the best with what you've got. Your main categories of targeted disruption that you are working with are your things like Bubble Snare or Bind the Monster, these 1 mana enchantments that tap a creature and then keep it tapped kind of indefinitely. You have your bounce effects, your unsummons, and your snatchbacks or Into the Royals. You have your bigger like transform effects, your Casmina's transmutations, your Ichthyomorphosis. These things that it's just kind of like green and blue are really good at blue is good at turning creatures into other creatures and making it so that they aren't there or keeping things tapped and doing tempo things. Green is more on the fight scale. We don't have a lot of things that are good at fighting. A lot of our creatures are going to be tokens that we're creating off of our Primeval Bounty or our Rampaging Baloth. And our real only big creatures, if we look at our deck in the list, are things like Slin Voda, or hopefully a very large Mossborn Hydra, or Saz's Chocobo. So we don't really have a lot that's going to go into the availability of our cards to use fight spells. So we aren't actually playing a lot of fight spells. More than that, we're focusing into counter spells, and most importantly, trying to play around the availability to put lands into play, and so we're playing just a whole bunch of ramp. We're playing ramp all the way up and down the curve. Specifically, we've got Tend the Sprigs, Omen of the Hunt, Grow from the Ashes, Cycle of Renewal, Cultivate, Shared Roots, Into the North, Explore, Dance of the Tumbleweed, Circuitous Route, New Generations Technique. And we're just trying to put as many lands into play, get as much value off of our lands as possible, and then hit some of our big payoffs, like our Rampaging Baloths, our Primeval Bounty, even our Elfsworn Giant, or I got lucky enough to open a Xanarkand Ancient Metropolis. This can just make us one really, really big colorless hero creature token, and hopefully that can get us across the line. And that's kind of the whole game plan. We're just trying to buy ourselves enough time to get something into play that can get us a good enough success, and just hopefully win off of the general card advantage engine that is our Tatyova in this very land and draw heavy format. But that's going to be the plan. Hopefully this ends up working out. And I will see you all when we have game. Hey, we're here at the game against Dantera, who is playing Maryland Fey Ascendant. We've played this deck previously on the channel. It's an interesting deck, I think, but still plenty good. I think this is a good enough hand. We've got our Detect Intrusion. We've got multiple lands. We can Mossborn Hydra, and hopefully we draw a land so we can Mossborn Hydra and Escape Tunnel on turn 2. Until then, we can just lead with Snow-Covered Forest, Snow-Covered Island. It's weird that we could... This is a triggered ability, so we could counter it with our Detect Intrusion. But I think our Detect Intrusion is better saved for other targets. Okay, we're just trying to make our Mossborn Hydra a 4/4 and hope that they can't do anything about that this turn. Starting next turn, we can do things with holding up our Snakeskin Veil and things like that to protect our Mossborn Hydra. Bloom Tender is a good start for us, because they currently don't have anything that they can do to our Mossborn Hydra. Dwynen's Elite, also fine. There we go. Just elves to go with their Maryland. Honestly, kind of the best thing that we could have going for us. We'll play this Snow-Covered Island. I think what I want... is to just attack with the Mossborn Hydra. If they let us through, we can Cycle of Renewal. Go get 2 more lands, and then we just win. There we go. That's the game plan, is we just have to hit our one threat that can win, and then hope that we can get through with it, and then just get extra land drops to make it very powerful. So that was attack for 32. We'll claim our rewards, and then let us get our actual reward. Let's see what we get. This is our first reward. It is a free rare or better. Okay, we get a rare, and it is South Pole Voyager. Okay, so this is a rare that I've actually had a lot of opportunity to play against on the challenge as we've been going through kind of lower tier standard and all that stuff. And I do think there is a genuine allies deck at lower tier arena standard that is trying to do ally life gain synergies that this South Pole Voyager is very, very good in. It's one of your key rares just because it really fits into your life gain strategy, as well as it is card advantage and card draw in and of itself. It's 2 mana 2/2 that gains life whenever an ally enters, and if it's the second time it enters that turn, you draw a card. It gives you cards, it gains you life. It fits really well into a synergy that I don't think is necessarily like anywhere near the best decks in standard right now, because standard is very, very powerful. But there is a strategy here that I think would be really, really interesting to play. This is a pretty good card. This is a very good pickup. And then I will be back with our next match. Okay, we're back in our next game here against Brother Forna. We're playing Rat King Verminister. This is, I think, our first look at a mulligan here. This is a hand that literally does nothing. And so we'd rather have a hand that does anything. This is also kind of a hand that does nothing. We are on the draw, though. Odds are that we can draw a green source, and if we draw a green source, this hand is very good. It's better than I think going to a 6 would be for us. Our opponent, I think, is just going to play infinite copies of Rat Colony, is the other thing here. So, because we didn't draw a green source, we're going to have to play our colony territory. And I think we'll just have to be content with that. Our opponent's going to try and play 2 copies of Rat Colony a turn or more for the rest of time. Rat King Verminister. Okay, we're going to play Saz's Chocobo. And then Snow-Covered Forest, Snow-Covered Island. We're going to make this a 2/3. I think we're going to hold up Unwind. Actually, Unwind is only non-creature spell, so I don't actually think that's worth doing. I think we're just going to Bushwhack. Kill this Rat King. And pass the turn. Because now we've got this Disdainful Stroke that we can use in our hand. These rat colonies are a problem, but I think we can get out of the rat colonies being a problem pretty soon. Now we can't, but... Tatyova. Play another island. Incubation. We didn't find anything off our incubation. They're going to probably have a removal spell for our Chocobo. There we go. Good game. Cool. Okay, I've paused this, and hopefully we don't end up actually winning this game because we missed a big portion of it. But we are currently in a position where we might actually win this game, and so I have unpaused. Because the Rampage and Veloth Tatyova Benthic Druid being able to make 1 million... Oh, we did win! Okay, so our opponent conceded. That's unfortunate. So, I'll try to wander you through this game. Essentially, they had lethal, which is why I paused this recording to go find us the next game. Because they had lethal on board when they played their Piper the Swarm, and then they misclicked, and we didn't win. And, like, we didn't lose. And then we were able to play this Rampaging Veloth and just make enough 2/2 beasts by playing enough lands and playing enough things with like New Generations Technique, Into the North, Raven Form, to kill the thing with Menace and just make enough beasts and gain enough life that we made it so their Rat King never gets to do anything again. And that we're able to make enough blockers each and every turn to block all of their rat colonies. And then if we were going to be able to untap this turn, we were going to be able to make more land drops and then hold up more counter spells and just do more things to be able to get us to victory. So I'm going to include that still because we're going to get the rewards for it, but we definitely lost that match, so I paused the recording, and then our opponent misclicked and we won the entire match. But I won't complain, it gives us more rewards. It was a new way to win the match, but it is still just like, Behemoth is good. It goes very, very well. And let's see what our reward is. It's any guaranteed rare or mythic rare from the entirety of Arena. Let's see what we get. Do we get lucky and get a mythic? No, it's just a rare, but still we get Winnowing. Okay. This is a rare from ECI. 6 mana sorcery, 4 white with Convoke. For each player, choose a creature that player controls. Then they sacrifice all other creatures they control that don't share a creature type with the chosen creature they control. This is a really good board wipe. It's a board wipe that you can get out of nowhere because you can tap out for all of your creatures. and then use your creatures to pay for this. This is a really interesting card. It's definitely a Brawl card. I don't know that it's going to see play in any other format. But it's a really nice board wipe, and mono white doesn't really need more board wipes, but this is a pretty useful one, especially in a lot of your Typal decks or your Kindred strategies, where you can be like, all of my creatures are always going to be the same creature type, but your opponent might have one that's a different creature type than all the rest of their creatures, and you just select that one, and then they have to sacrifice all the rest of their creatures. This is a really powerful effect and a really powerful card. I will be back when we have our next game. Okay, we're back with our third match against Heretic Henry playing Jesse Zane, Fanebringer. Admittedly, this is a legendary creature I know nothing about and I've never heard of before. We will keep this hand, though. This hand is absolutely gas. We're going to just Growth Spiral on turn 1, get up to 3 lands. We'll be able to hit 5 lands, hopefully, on turn 2 and just cast our Tatyova. This is an excellent hand. Let's read what our opponent's commander does, though. This is why I've never heard of it. It's an alchemy card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. When Jesse Zane enters and when you cast a snake spell, conjure an Ambush Viper in the top 6 cards of your library at random, and it gains when it enters, draw a card perpetually. Interesting. Play a command tower and a snow-covered island, and we will pass the turn. Our opponent's on mono green. Lotus Cobra makes sense. Just try to ramp. Lotus Cobra would also be great in our deck, but it is a rare, therefore we don't have one. There's a snow-covered forest. My turn. Erudite Wizard unsummon. I think we will play the Erudite Wizard, play the snow-covered island, hold on to the unsummon, because when they attempt to cast their Jesse Zane this turn, we can then unsummon it to try and create the tempo there. The tempo loss there, I mean. There we go. Jesse Zane enters. We will wait for them to get out of this step, because they still live in a reality where their Lotus Cobra can generate them 3 mana, and we want to make sure that they can't recast this Jesse Zane this turn. This already makes it so they can't recast it. We'll just bounce it. They're tapped out. This also prevents them from having any sort of combat trick that can give it hexproof or that can give it protection from blue. They chose land, so they are going to have 2 mana. The other thing is that did just get the top card off of their library. Shigeki is now here. Shigeki is also a little bit of a problem. Let's try Explore. Snow-covered forest, Fastwood fortification, Hydroponics architect. We maybe should have attacked with the Erudite Wizard there, but I don't know if it is the correct choice every time. Being able to Rampaging Baloths next turn and hope we draw some lands is going to be nice. Heraldic Banner on green, giving them more Ambush Vipers. Okay, so we didn't draw any lands, which is slightly problematic. I think we'll just play Tatyova. And Adventuring Gear. And then we'll attack the Hydroponics Architect. They are going to start being able to cast Ambush Vipers and draw cards off of them, which is going to be annoying because they keep playing Jesse Zanes, and therefore they've got at least 2 Ambush Vipers in the top 6. Tribute to the World Tree is also very annoying. This is one where we hope to get, honestly, just into Slin Voda as soon as possible, so we can just Slin Voda and start blowing people out of the water. Because if we can just bounce all of their stuff, that's going to be actually really nice. It does bounce a lot of our stuff as well. Awake in the Woods is also gross. These forest dryads that get to be 4/3s, make a whole bunch of mana. Moving to combat. They're probably... Oh, they're not doing anything. Okay, so we drew a land. That's honestly huge. And a Detect Intrusion. I actually think we want to Rampaging Baloths. I'll equip you now. Attack with the Hydroponics Architect. We get another land that's a basic island in addition to its other land types. It's nice to have. Here's their first Ambush Viper. Ambush Vipers get to draw cards. They also get to make their Ambush Viper into a... Oh, it's because of their Heraldic Banner, it doesn't actually get counters because it has 3 or greater. So they just draw 2 cards. Case of the Locked Hothouse is pretty good. They have 10 lands. So this is going to get to... flip. Great Henge is also pretty egregious. Oracle of Mooley Dooley. Honestly, I don't feel too disadvantaged in our current state, though. I don't know that I want to New Generations Technique, necessarily. Although I don't hate it. Yeah, we'll just New Generations Technique. We'll make our Hydroponics Architect huge. It draws us 2 cards. It makes us 2 4/4s. Hopefully we draw at least 1 other land in these. There we go. There's 2. And we have land drops still, so let's make our first land drop. This can... Ooh, Filter Out's actually a huge pickup for us right now. We actually do actively want that. And then we can Snow-Covered Island. Drawing in another Snow-Covered Island. Now we can hold up Rewind and Aetherize for next turn. And we're just going to attack with this Hydroponics. Do 9 damage to our opponent. And pass the turn. Our opponent's going to try and do some crazy stuff. We are actually, I think, actively okay with that. Really, dream scenario is our opponent starts attacking us, because if our opponent attacks us, we can just Aetherize. If they try to play a big spell, we're also okay with that, because we can Rewind, and it's just a free counter spell. This is a big spell, but it's not a... maybe it is a big spell that we care about. Let's Rewind this. Ambush Viper we're fine with. Actively totally okay. They didn't draw a way to counter that, so we will untap our Command Tower, our Temple of Mystery, an island, and a forest. Our opponent's going to have a billion mana. Truly so much mana. Circle of Dreams Druid. What could an opponent want more than mana? More mana. At this point, we are just holding on to our Aetherize. Because I am expecting some kind of Alpha Strike. I'm also expecting them to kill something with their Jesse Zane, because they are now going to be, well, or any of their Ambush Vipers, because now they're going to have something that can deal damage. They got a Wicker Wing Effigy. Interesting, okay. Realmwalker and Elven Chorus are both really good. Another Ambush Viper, draw 2 cards. Or draw 3 cards. Another Ambush Viper on top. They do still have mana, since these are forests. Prowling Serpent Bard. So now my counter spells are turned off. Interesting, okay. They can kill my Rampaging Greyloths. I expect them to attack with a whole bunch of things right now. No? Then we'll just filter out. Our opponent has to discard like a billion cards. We just have to play this Adventuring Gear on our Hydroponics Architect. And then honestly, what we're probably going to do is just attack with a whole bunch of stuff. How much mana do we have? We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can Adventuring Gear and Saz's Chocobo and put our Adventuring Gear on the Architect. And then we can island, and we want to draw another land, please. Didn't draw land. So we can't kick Slyn Voda this turn. Because we can't kick Slyn Voda this turn, let's figure out what else we want to do. Probably Kasmina's Transmutation, Jesse Zane. We do 4, we only have 3, so we don't want to do that. I think we'll just do this for this turn. Attack with the Architect. Pass the turn. Our opponent's going to cast a whole bunch of spells again this turn. We're fine with that, I think. They have a billion mana. We just have to hold on to this Aetherize for when they inevitably try to just attack us through all of their billions of mana. And then we can hold up this Detect Intrusion for something else that matters, if something else ever ends up mattering. Like, Explore is not a thing that matters. Realmwalker is not something we can counter. They are now out of mana. Or they were. No, they have a billion mana. They have a Circle of Dreams Druid. And they have another land drop. So yeah, our opponent has functionally infinite mana. And they're going to draw a lot of cards. resolve this. Really, we just need to find a thing that we actually care about. And right now, the only thing we care about is, like, the Masked Vandal... The Masked Vandal ETB trigger is something that we would... Okay, Defiler Vigor is fine, I think. There's another land. They have 2 more mana. There's another land. They have 4 mana. There's another land. They have 6 mana. Finn the Fangbearer makes sense. That's a win condition for them. Put counters on everything. Snakeskin Veil is a little annoying, but not actually. Because, like, we're not trying to target anything with anything that our opponent does. You may attack me, opponent. I welcome your attacks. I bounce all of your creatures. And I have a Detect Intrusion. Okay. You can put a counter on that. It doesn't save it. They all still go to your hand. Cool. Our opponent has seen enough. So that's the thing, is like mass disruption like that is how you get out of matchups where we are clearly being overrun. With that, we got an achievement for Brawling Mage, and we finished all of our Brawl matches for today. And honestly, the deck was a lot of fun and not that bad. Like, is it the most high-tier deck in the meta? Of course not. We're playing almost no rares or mythics, but it's still a lot of fun. And let's see what our final reward was. Lord Dreg, Insect Invader. This is a 4-mana, 3/2 legendary creature, insect warrior with flying. It has Disappear. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, make a 1/1 black insect warrior creature flying token with flying. And then 3 and a green, sack a token, draw a card. Honestly, seems great. Cool. With that, I think that'll do it for us today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know that it has not always been my favorite format on Arena to play Brawl for sure, and I don't know that I would ever just queue up Brawl games to play Brawl games against just people on the Arena, especially on the new account challenge. But I hope that this shows you that even on a budget, you can do a lot of things, especially in these fun midweek meta games where they give you a whole bunch of new opportunities and new ways to play the game, and they try to invent and play with the rules of Brawl in a way that help us to be able to get generally just a better overall play experience. I know I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope that you enjoy the deck yourselves and have fun, and I hope to hear all about it. Tell me how your games went. We had some interesting ones here for sure, but we were able to get here and get through this in about an hour. I only had to play maybe 5 or 6 games and to get our 3 wins, and that's honestly great. That's super good. But as always, I have been Sam. This has been the Jank Drawer. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There will be more content like this every single week. I try to get one of these out every Wednesday for the midweek metagame, and I'm working behind the scenes very diligently to try and give you even more content each week here on the channel, whether that's Magic or whether that's other content. Who knows? But I will be working on it. Thank you so much. Until next time, I've been Sam. This has been the Jank Drawer. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.